Good morning, everybody. I'm Helen Gray. I'm the clerk for the Member Management Committee today. Unfortunately, Councillor Lennox has sent her apologies for today's meeting. So the first item of business for the committee today is to actually elect a chair. Now, we have received a nomination for Councillor Biffle to act as chair today. So I'm seeking the committee's support for that election. Yes. Thank you very much, members.
Thank you. Welcome everyone to the first Member Management Committee of the 2022-2023 municipal year, and thank you for supporting my nomination this morning. Please can I ask members to introduce themselves in turn? We'll start round from the left, please. Councillor Ray.
Councillor Paul Ray, Hunslet Riverside Ward.
Councillor Kaylee Brooks, Little London and Weddinghouse Ward, and I'm subbing for Councillor Lennox today.
Councillor Luke Farley, Labour Councillor for Bermondsey and Richmond Hill.
Mary Howland, Councillor for Kipix and Methley Ward, and subbing for Councillor Cooper today, I think.
Councillor Anne Forsyth, finally in Wortley Ward.
Councillor Barry Anderson, Adeline Wharfdale Ward.
Councillor Conrad Hartbrook, Rothwell Ward, covering for Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, members. And I'm Councillor Hannah Bithell, representing Kirkstall. And can I now ask that the officers present please introduce themselves?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Kevin Tompkinson from Democratic Services.
Andrea Holgate, Democratic Services.
Good morning, everyone. Rob Clayton, Conservative Group Office Manager.
Morning, everyone. Andy Hodson, Head of Democratic Services.
Morning again, Helen Gray, clerk.
Brilliant. Thanks, everyone. As we move to the agenda, Helen will deal with items 1 to 5, please.
Thank you, Chair. Under agenda item number 1, there are no appeals against refusal and inspection of documents. Under agenda item 2, there's no exempt information in the agenda. Under agenda item 3, there's no formal late item of business, but hopefully members have received a copy of Appendix 2 of the substantive item about outside bodies, and it's the full schedule of member appointments as amended as more nominations have been received. Under agenda item 4, could I ask members to make any declarations of interest they may wish to make? I can't see any, thank you, Chair. And agenda item 5 is apologies for absence, and we have apologies from Councillor Lennox, and we welcome Councillor Brooks as substitute, apologies from Councillor Cooper, and we welcome Councillor Harland as substitute. We also have apologies from Councillors Campbell, Cohen, Dobson and Shazad and Hutchison. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Helen. We'll move on to number 6, which is minutes and notes from previous meetings. Obviously, because it's a new municipal year, we've had different members here, but for those members that were here, can I just have confirmation that they're a correct record of the meeting? Yeah. Lovely, excellent. And we'll move on to whether there's any matters arising. Anything at all? No? Okie dokie then. In which case we'll move on to item number 7, which is appointments to outside bodies. And again, I will hand over to Helen for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Biffle. Yes, apologies, it's me again. So this is the annual report that we bring to Member Management Committee, which sets out the elected member appointments to outside bodies and other bodies that are that Member Management Committee have the authority to make. The report includes at Appendix 1 a copy of this year's outside body procedure rules, and at Appendix 3 there's a copy of a schedule of those outside bodies and other bodies which the community committees are empowered to make decisions about. So they're being dealt with through the first cycle of community committee meetings at the moment. The report at paragraph 10 outlines those outside bodies which either no longer exist, have wound up, or no longer require member appointments, and they're highlighted in Appendix 2 with a bright red line through them so that they're easily spotted. Paragraph 14 lists those those appointments that have been made through the previous year 21-22 using the delegated decision notice route in line with the outside body procedure rules 21-22. So as the main points of consideration consideration for Member Management Committee today are the appointments that are listed in the schedule at Appendix 2, which is the full list of elected member appointments that Member Management Committee are asked to consider and to make. In the last month or so, I've shared that schedule with all of the group offices and asked the groups to consider their nominations, and the ones that I've received so far are in the schedule before you this morning, and I've put an updated one because we received one nomination overnight. So you've got the most up-to-date schedule in front of you to have a look at. And the additional appointment relates to voluntary action Leeds, and that's a nomination from the Conservative group, Councillor Firth, to take up what was a vacancy, but I've now slotted his name in there. What else have I got to? So the two other main points of consideration appear at paragraphs 12 and 13, members. Paragraph 12 relates to the Swarthmore Education Centre, which is currently delegated to the Inner North West Community Committee to appoint to. But the executive member has made a request that that be brought before Member Management Committee to consider almost delegating it up to Member Management Committee, because the Swarthmore Education Centre provides a citywide service, so he's asked that it be considered as a strategic and key appointment. So I ask for members' consideration of that request. And then at paragraph 13, there's a note about the National Association of Councillors. That was included and is still included in the schedule that went round. But at the moment, officers are undertaking a review of what the offer is and what the benefits are of our appointments and our delegates to the National Association of Councillors. And so I would ask that members defer making appointments. I know I've received some nominees already, but I'd ask defer making those appointments until we've concluded our review, and I can report back to you with some more information. And I think, subject to members' questions, that's the main highlights I'd want to point out for you. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Helen. And thank you to whips and the officers involved in putting this very extensive list together. So if we turn to page 9, there's a set of recommendations, and what we'll do is we'll just go through those. And if there's anything that anyone wants to bring up, you're really welcome to. Councillor.
On the SACRA, Councillor Firth is replacing me.
Any other comments before we go through the recommendations? No? Okay then. So recommendation A, note the process set out in the outside bodies procedure rules, which this committee follows when making appointments, attached at appendix 1 of this report. I'll take that as read. Note the information contained in paragraph 10 relating to organisations that no longer require member representation. Again, I'll take that as read. To consider the future designation of the Swarthmore Education Centre as set out in paragraph 12. Has anyone got any comments on that? Comfortable with that? Lovely, thank you. To consider deferring consideration of the NAC appointments. Any comments on deferring those? Everyone's comfortable? Yeah. Good, nods all round, thank you. Note the current position with regards to new and existing outside bodies which required appointments since the last MMC, which is where we agree this one.
That bit is in paragraph 14, so it's just those that were done under delegated decision.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's a just take as read. Okay. And it's the next one that's appendix 2. I see. They've put it in bold very kindly for me and I still missed it. So are we all happy with appendix 2, which is our list? The only amendment that was done overnight is for voluntary action Leeds, and that's Councillor Firth being added. Is everybody comfortable with what everyone's groups have got? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Lovely. And we'll move on to G, which is to approve the schedule at appendix 3 and confirm the delegation of appointment to these organisations to the community committees. Any comments on appendix 3?
Just a general comment. At our community committee, we raised concerns that at least 2 of the clusters in our area we are not being invited to attend.
Okay.
And the officers in member services are already aware of our concerns. I'm just bringing it formally that we aren't being invited. And I'm told it's not just in our community, it's a number of other ones as well. So there's an issue. Let's put it that way.
Just to recap that, because it was done without a microphone, there's an issue with, are you happy to just say it again?
I can say
Thank
again,
you.
yes. At our community committee, we discussed the clusters, and two of them, the members are not being invited or being kept informed of what's happening in the cluster. But I am advised that that isn't just unique to our area, it is occurring throughout the council as well. And member services are aware of our concerns. So if someone can do whatever they do.
Would you like to reply on that?
Thank you, Chair. Once the cycle of community committees is completed for June, July, we write to children and families and notify them of the appointments that have been made through the community committees, and we can include a comment back from Member Management Committee about engagement with members in that notification we send. Thank you.
Thanks very much. And that brings us, if we're happy to approve that, can I have nods from the table? Happy to approve it. That brings us to the end of the recommendations.
Thank you, Chair. That's the big meeting.
Wow, good day's work. In which case, thanks very much for your attendance. I'm really looking forward to everyone getting stuck into those boards during this municipal year. It's where some really good work happens. Thanks very much for attending, folks.
Thank you.